Welcome to the Career Dev Podcast, where we dive into the strategies, insights, and real-world experiences that help you navigate your career with confidence. Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Shroyer. I'm your host, career coach, and professor, and I'm here to help you land the job that you want, grow in your profession, and take control of your career journey. Whether you're job searching, leveling up, or making a career pivot, you're in the right place. So let's get started. Everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I am Dr. Tracy Shroyer, and today we're going to go behind the scenes of something you probably asked yourself at some point, and that is what actually makes a resume work. So you may have done the work, you've written your bullet points, maybe you've even customized it a bit, but it still feels maybe flat. So, or worse, but it still feels flat. Or worse, it's not getting any results. So today we're going to talk about what separates a resume that gets ignored from one that gets you interviews. And I'm not going to give you fluff. We're going to go deep into structure, clarity, and strategic storytelling. All of these things I teach inside my Rock Your Resume program. So what do we mean by a resume that works? A resume that works is one that will open doors. It will start conversations. It's going to reflect who you are now, not who you used to be. It's going to align you with where you're headed, and it's going to get seen by the right people. So this isn't about perfection. It's about really positioning you in the right space for the role that you're interested in. So you're not trying to impress somebody with all these big fluffy words. You're just trying to help them to quickly see, yes, this person can come in and help to solve our problems and is a great fit for this role that we have available. So we're going to talk about 3 questions that a great resume is going to be able to answer. And if your resume can answer these questions clearly and quickly, it's doing its job. So the first of these 3 questions is, who are you professionally right now? Let's not think about who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what that looks like. Yes, you are including some of those roles and accomplishments from your past, but who are you professionally right now? And if we had to take just a snapshot of right now in this moment, making sure that your resume portrays that. The second thing is, what value do you bring? If I'm a hiring manager looking at you as a potential candidate for a job in my organization and in my team, what value are you bringing to the table that I need, that I'm looking for, that I've posted in my job description? And then the third question is, where do you fit within our organization or our team? And what does that look like? And how can you tell me that story of where you might fit? So most resumes are going to miss the mark because they talk too much about past job duties. And I've talked in past episodes about how you should not have an endless list of bullet points to say, I did X, I did Y, I did Z. And I always put the question of reading the bullet point and thinking, who cares? Who cares? What did that result in? What was the outcome? What was the achievement here? How did it help the organization? How did it help the team? How did it help the customer? Those types of things. And really thinking deeper into those bullet points versus just saying you did X, Y, and Z. Maybe your resume doesn't tell a clear story of where you've been and where you're going. And like I said, what value you bring to the table. And it's also not good if a resume is going to leave a hiring manager to guess what kind of role that you're looking for. And again, we've talked in several episodes about how it should not be a generic resume that you spray and pray and hope that you get a job offer. You need to really look and how do we tweak, how do we customize to the degree possible for those jobs that we really, really want and that we desire, that we're going to spend the time, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes for some of those roles versus maybe you're going to spend more in-depth time on those roles that you're really, really gravitating towards. So let's talk about the 4 ingredients for a high-performing resume. So the first one is clarity. And I mentioned before, this is something that a lot of clients come to me and we have to really take a step back and think about getting them clear on what it is that they bring to the table, what's that value, what's their story, where they've been, where they're going, what they're interested in, and also thinking about not just what are you good at, but what do you enjoy and what do you really want to do. Making sure that you're clear on who is your target, what kind of organization, What kind of culture do you want? That was a big thing for one of my clients that we talked about. He had all of the knowledge, all of the education that he was bringing to the table, and he was able to really look at what's the kind of culture I want in my organization. Knowing your target is also, for most people, it's knowing what is that role? What are those types of organizations and those types of things? Your resume should not be a history lesson. It should really be a marketing piece, and it's going to help position you for that next role that you're really desiring and that you're passionate about getting. So clarity is number one. Number two is structure. You want to make sure that you use a clean applicant tracking system or ATS friendly format that has very clear delineation of the sections. So you'll have your professional summary, you'll have your skills, your work experience, whatever those might be, but it's very friendly to the eye. It's very structured. I can find exactly what I need and what order maybe I need to look at, which could be different depending on what roles there are. So structure is number two. Number three is making sure that you tailor your resume. And this is making sure that you're aligning your keywords, your bullets are clear, and they answer that who cares. They give the insight, they give the quantifiable accomplishments where possible. They give the results, the impact on achievements, the impact on the customer, the impact on internal customers as well, your business partners, internally or externally. And your job descriptions are very crisp and very clear. So making sure that you're tailoring it. And then number four is that polish. So really making sure that you're tidying up the formatting, that you're taking out any kind of fluff that's there, and you're proofreading it from the perspective of the person that is hiring for that role. And how well do they match what we're looking for? And how well do they tell their story and they show the value that they bring to the table? So one example of before and after, an original bullet could have said managed projects and collaborated with internal stakeholders. So we asked the question, who cares? What impact did they have? Who did they impact? Was it results? Was it people? By how much? What change resulted from that? So I said managed projects and collaborated with internal stakeholders. So if we transform that, the statement we might say is led cross-functional project team to deliver new client onboarding system, reducing time to value by 30%. And that provides insight on who, some of the skills that we used, what we impacted, leveraging keywords. On the last episode, we talked about keywords. Client onboarding was one of those. So we used that in this example and we're able to give that quantifiable change and that enhancement as a result of being able to do this. So I know what some of you are saying now. And this is what some of my clients have said too. I don't have numbers. And maybe it's where in your reviews, your performance reviews, you didn't talk about any kind of numbers or you don't have any kind of dashboards. Maybe you're no longer with that company or the company before. So what do you do if you don't have numbers? It doesn't mean you get to skip it. Sorry, not sorry. But you want to start by asking a couple questions. So the first question I have for you is, did you reduce time, cost, or turnover? Another question is, did you improve a process? So did I lead or influence a team? So thinking about, are those individuals within the same team, within the same department? Are they cross-functional, like we mentioned in this last example? How many people were there? How many different teams were impacted? Those types of things you could use as part of that quantifiable accomplishment as well. Another question here is, did your work result in a decision, a change, or an impact? And what was that? Some people impact things that are millions of dollars, or they've supported and been parts of multi-million-dollar projects. And if you can't say, help to save the company $6 million by blah, 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 or you're not able to say participated in a $26 million project and did XYZ, and if you're afraid to put those kinds of numbers to it, you could always say a multi-million-dollar or whatever applies, but more in a general tone, and you're still incorporating that quantifiable accomplishment. And it gives more breadth to that project and how big it was. And when you talk about your role in it, just some insight as to what part you played in the whole picture and being able to tell that story. So if you missed the Rock Your Resume live workshop, don't worry, I've got you. You can still access the workshop replay at tracyshroyerphd.com/job seekers and click where you see information about the Rock Your Resume webinar, and you'll be able to get that right in your mailbox. This is whether you want to revise your resume with support, build a version that finally reflects your value, or just stop second guessing every single job application. You're going to find tools, guidance, and encouragement waiting for you in that webinar. So some final thoughts from me. Your resume does not have to be perfect. Nobody ever said it had to be perfect, but it does need to be clear. It needs to be intentional, and it needs to be aligned with the roles that you are really desiring. So in next week's episode, we're going to talk about using AI without sounding like a robot. And I'll give you a few prompts that you can actually try. So until then, keep going. You've got this. That's a wrap for today's episode of the Career Dev Podcast. I hope that you found inspiration, insights, and actionable steps to move your career forward. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. For more career tips and resources, connect with me, Dr. Tracy Shroyer, on LinkedIn or visit my website at www.tracyshroyerphd.com. Thanks for tuning in. Keep growing, keep learning, and I'll see you on the next episode.